Alright, boys and girls, we've been super busy around here, but I ain't been showing it to you because, well, it's not all automotive related. Not exactly. Took me most of a day to get that tire off that tractor because it was flat at the time. Thank you, Joe Niswonger, for the socket, because that is 1 5/16", and I did not have one of those. So after I got the tire off the tractor, I called up my man Grady, and he brought a friend, and both of them are built like NFL linebackers. So they tossed it up in the back of the truck like it was no big deal. So thank you, boys, for that. Now, I took off to National Tire Brokers. They had it fixed in under an hour. The next day, all I had to do was figure out how to put it back on the tractor by myself. That was the moment that my cherry picker paid for itself. So now we're back on the stupid truck, and the next logical step is find the spot, put our bungholes in place so that we can screw in some O2 sensors. Now, I could have done a whole episode on me looking for my bunghole. I went through every one of those boxes, every one of these boxes. I finally found them. You know where they were? Right behind me the whole time. I put them in the same box with the O2 sensors. I am Cornholio. This is my bunghole. So I took the input of all of you guys along with a few of the, let's call it internet experts. And then I had a conversation with my man Clint over at Clint Street Machines. He's not doing a lot of videos right now, but he's still actively working on vehicles just like he always has for the last 40 years. So he told me a couple of things that I did not realize. And one of those things is because my muffler is so far forward underneath that cab, I need to have that O2 sensor further forward than I was planning, because something to do with the, I'm not going to say back pressure because he didn't, but when that exhaust flow comes through, it needs to be the steady exhaust flow. And then he suggested put it at a 45-degree angle right towards the back of where the bell housing comes in. And I figured, let's crawl up under the truck and figure out if that's a feasible location, because if we can get it, say, 12 inches further forward than the muffler, that'll put it right about in line where all of you guys pretty much said that it needs to be. All right, let's see if there's enough room underneath here for you, me, Zach, and my rental dancing friend. Oh, my goodness. There's probably just enough room for me. All right, there's the muffler. If we come about 12 inches forward of the muffler, then we should be able to put a O2 sensor at, Then we should be able to put an O2 sensor at an angle that comes in here between there. That's the concept. I grabbed a Sharpie and I marked a spot, and then I wasn't sure, so I marked an X, and we'll see what happens. I did one on the other side, and I don't know if you can see the other side. Let's see. No, you can't see it either. But there's a Sharpie mark on both sides. They're both about 12 inches from the muffler. Now, we could just disconnect that coupling at the header and work that exhaust pipe out through all of those cross members under the truck. But my friend that sees orbs pointed out a very valid fact. And that fact is, I'm too old to be crawling around on the concrete, most especially if there's an easier way. And there's one more thing to take into consideration. Now, if you guys recall, this gas tank was almost empty the last time we used it, and the wife had a birthday recently, so it ain't got no better. So I made the wife some little insects for her rose garden at work. She got a bumblebee, a couple of ladybugs, and a grasshopper, and the bumblebee's just totally ticked off. Have you ever tried to MIG weld the lid back onto a soup can? Because that'll tick you off too. I will say that I did save up the money to buy a refill of gas on this, and then I used that money to help pay for a starter on this. So obviously we're not going to do any welding today, but we can keep moving forward on this truck. Because if you'll remember, when we did the floorboards, all we did was cut a hole, make a plate, and cover the hole. The floor portion and the tunnel still have to be trimmed. And then there may be more welding that has to be done from the bottom side of the cab. I don't know. We won't know until the cab is off the truck. And while the cab is off the truck, that would be a perfect time to not only take care of that, but also yank that exhaust out and get it finished up and be done with it once I get some gas for the welder. So let's take that cab off of that truck and set it right where it's at right now on the floor. Flip it up backwards and see what we got to do to the floor of that cab. Guys, let's take a look at what I was talking about earlier. Basically, all we did was cut a hole and then we capped it from the top side. So that leaves us with all this excess metal from the edge here back to the weld point. We need to trim that up and smooth it out, make it look a lot nicer. I realize that nobody's really ever going to see this except for you guys. But if I don't do this and make it look nicer, then at some point my OCD will kick in and I will wake up in the middle of the night with cold sweats and not be happy until I fix it. So let's go ahead and fix it. I have no idea what I'm going to do here because the plate is way bigger than the metal. You can see that from the weld line from the top side. So when it's all said and done, I'm going to have to cut this off without cutting all the way through that metal. We'll see what happens. Hello, my friend. I have missed you. If this is what the doctor felt like when he did my circumcision. Well, that that is a lot better than it was before. Still got a little bit of lip here, a little bit of lip here, here a lip, there a lip, everywhere a lip. That turned out way better than I thought I was gonna do. So, yay, go us. We'll clean the rest of this up with flap disc, and then we'll clean the whole bottom up and maybe go ahead and throw some seam seal on this, and who knows, we might throw some primer on it. Alright guys, I am not unhappy with the way this is turning out, but I will say it's going to get old and it's going to get boring because it's going to take me a couple of days to do both sides plus the bottom, so we're going to do that off camera. Ain't that something? We used a spinny wheel of death today and did not even bleed. It's a good day. That irritates me. I just swept this up before I started this. I'm not done with the editing yet on this video, so I figured I'd go ahead and put this in there. Bottom line is that everything that I've ground off of the bottom, as far as welds go, like all this, keep in mind those welds were made from the top side of the cab floor. So when it's all said and done, there are some spots, that one's not as bad as it looks because it's sealed on the top side and it's all welded together, but I don't like that. And then you've got spots like this, same scenario, sealed on the top side because there was a big gap there. There is a spot right here that it is not sealed on the top side. All this is going to have to be welded. Of course, we're still out of welding gas, but I do have some flux core welding wire, so we can use that on this floor bottom, but it's not something I want to use on the bung holes. So I want to have better control with the bung holes. On the floor bottom, I can use that flux core and be content. So I'll catch y'all in the next video. We'll see where we're at. Turn off. Why are you not turning off? Peace, love, and mini trucks.